So welcome to Miserable Moments.
Thank you.
Miserable Moments. And I want to first start off by acknowledging what's happening in the United States and to let you know that, as a part of the African diaspora, we share the concerns, we share the pain, we watch the videos, we watch the shows, we see what's going on. It's really not a happy time. It is indeed a miserable moment, not only for us as Black people, but really as the United States, as a nation, as a whole. Any thoughts on that?
Well, what we are experiencing as a country, we have been experiencing for centuries.
Right.
And I think now people are saying enough is enough, and those people are from all walks of life. And I feel as though they meaning people other than us, have felt bamboozled to think that all of this time, they thought it was our fault.
Yeah.
And now with this concrete video to kind of say, yeah, they were right in most cases, and I'm not saying all, but cases that are obvious, they were right, and we stood by and we did nothing.
Yeah.
And I think even with people like you and people like me, I don't think we even paid close attention enough to do more.
Right.
To do more with our position at our companies, where we live, where our kids go to school. We thought that going to school to get a degree would erase or decrease it.
It was enough.
We thought that living in a certain neighborhood, would kind of, help us escape it, if you will.
Yeah.
Putting our kids in certain schools,
right.
We thought that would decrease the incidence, but it didn't.
No.
In a significant number of cases, it just really didn't.
Unfortunately, it didn't. But, so didn't want to start there, but I just really couldn't diminish the importance of what is going on in the United States.
Right.
So let's rewind and let's start from the beginning. Welcome, Shawanda.
Thank you.
Mastering Miserable Moment. And just tell us a little bit about who Shawanda is.
Oh, wow. I'll give you the brief version. Well, first of all, Cheryl, thank you so much for having me. It was such a delight to meet you for the very first time there in Bahamas, and to invite me to your church and to meet the girls.
Yeah.
It was delightful. And, I said before that I, don't want it to be a one and done meeting gathering. I do want to continue that relationship with the girls, just like you and I have continued our relationship.
Yes.
But again, my name is Shawanda Vickers. Right here in the United States, in New Jersey, but I grew up in Alabama, in South Alabama, and earned my degree in biology and chemistry, and taught high school for 15 years, I think, before deciding to start my own company, which is SHOO Cosmetics. And we market ourselves as being an eco-chic cosmetics brand, where we use the best ingredients, but yet
testify.
Without the packaging being boring. We still want that, we still put a lot of emphasis on chic packaging for really for all women, young, old, from all walks of life. And our goal is to have a beauty with a purpose. So what we try to do, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to meet with some of the girls there in Bahamas
Right.
is that we want to empower girls enough that she recognizes that, she is beautiful.
Yes.
And then when you show a girl that she is beautiful,
Mhm.
then you can teach her
Mhm.
that she's beautiful so she can empower her community.
Right.
And then when you show her, then you can, you know, teach her. And when you teach her, then she can empower her country.
Right.
And that's what we want to do with girls, with our products, with our company, with our mission, with our goal. We don't just want our customers to just buy our products.
Right.
We want to invest back into our customers, back into the community,
Yeah.
because if it were not for our customers, there would not be a
The
SHOO
company.
Cosmetics. Yes.
Definitely. And yes, we met because of your wanting to come to the Bahamas and to be of service to young women and to show them that, listen, no, it isn't where you begin. It's where you have cast your vision and how far that can take you. Now, we hear the story of the CEO of SHOO Cosmetics. We hear of a biology teacher, but we know that out of all of our stories, there's always a backstory that gets us to where we are today. All of these components come together in a grand design that our creator has. And then we're not even the finished product because the best is yet to come, regardless of what 2020 has thrown
Yeah.
at us for this year. So let's get the backstory. I mean, what would have been the obstacles, the things in your life that someone would look at and say, well, if I had to look at your 10-year-old self or your 16-year-old self or your 20-year-old self, I could never see today the CEO of a SHOO Cosmetic, a woman who is confident, who knows what she wants, and not only what she wants for herself, but now she is extending that to the community. What's the backstory? What are the miserable moments that now bring this beautiful Black woman to the forefront as a leader in this industry?
Well, a lot of, like we've all have heard, people see the glory, but they don't know the story,
Yeah,
and I have a story to share.
right,
I didn't grow up with the silver spoon in my mouth. I grew up with parents who were separated for many, 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 many years. And it's strange because people who know me, they knew I grew up in the projects and housing projects growing up,
right.
up until I think I was about in the 8th or 9th grade. But they also knew that my grandparents owned hundreds of acres of land. So they were like, okay, something in what is
It
this?
doesn't
This is
add up. It
crazy.
doesn't add up.
Fits. So Monday through Friday, we lived in the projects, and then on the weekends we went to see, all of this land, this farmland, and a great country community. But
Right,
I tell people that my mom wanted to break bread on her own. She didn't want help from my dad. She
right.
didn't want help from my grandparents because she said that, I need to show my children when there is an obstacle, there's not going to always be people there to help you pull your bootstraps up.
No
Not that there's
crutches.
anything wrong with that, but sometimes you got to say, okay, I have this lemon. Am I going to allow it to continue to be sour,
Right,
or am I going to put the ingredients in it to make lemonade?
right.
And that's what she did. And so by doing so, we put a lot of emphasis on education. I think when I got a little bit older, I said, okay, I understand what you're saying, but you need to make sure you get that child support because we got some problems here.
Right, definitely. Don't leave any money on the table.
Don't leave any money on the table. That's your money.
Right.
But what I did in the interim of all of that,
Mhm.
I started working in the fields in Alabama. There was this I don't know if you heard of this flower called the gladiolus flower.
Yes.
It's a beautiful flower, and we
Mhm.
worked for this farmer. Like I said, the mix is crazy. My grandfather, who was a disabled veteran,
Mm.
actually worked for this gladioli flower farmer, in Marianna, Florida, which was just about 20 minutes from Alabama. And so I was telling my mom, I said, I want to wear certain kinds of clothes. I want a yearbook.
Right.
I want to go on these school trips.
Yeah.
And I said, so therefore, I'm going to work and get my own money. So when I say work, like 8, 9, 10 years old,
Wow.
I was making $125 per week.
Wow.
Then back in the 70s, and I opened my own checking account. By the time
I needed a friend.
By the time I was 10 years old, I had my own checking account.
Wow.
And I did that on my own and was able to budget manage the money that I made the whole year.
Right.
For the summer, I was able to manage the whole year because I was good in math and I knew what I wanted. I didn't want to be on free lunch. So I had a lot of pride. I was like, okay,
right.
We qualify for free lunch, but I'm not eating for free. I'm going to pay for mine.
I hear you.
So I was a different kind of child. And I knew that one of the ways out of how we lived was through education.
Yeah.
I was good in math. I was good in science. And so I knew that one way out was going to college. And I wanted to be a news reporter. And my mom was like, nope, no, you need to go into either math, science, or something that's going to give you a job, a career, where you get to choose where you want to go. And at that time, women in science, women in math, you could just about write your own ticket in terms of the job availabilities back. And it probably still is to this day. And so I wanted to be a doctor, but that didn't happen. I got married and started having kids. It just didn't happen. Right. But there was always this nick for makeup. It was always this nick for having makeup that was safe, that didn't break you out. Yeah. And so what I did when I decided to become a teacher, after I got my degree, I went back to school and became a teacher. I taught my students how to make these products, how to make hand lotion and perfume, and we would extract the oil from flowers and add alcohol to it and make perfume. And so we did those kinds of things in class. And then one student said, "You're so good at doing this, why don't you have your own business?" And I was like,
take the child.
Yes. And so that question lingered for 10 years before I took the bite. And it wasn't until my father passed away that I decided that I wanted to live a life that was wonderful, that was free, that was, I wanted to work so it didn't feel like it was working. It was something that I wanted to do every day. And I knew I liked makeup and cosmetics and, being an entrepreneur. And so I just gave up teaching. I just said, I don't want to go back. I've done my years. I now it's about me and these last, the other side of 50. Right. And so I bit the bullet. I knew no one in the industry. Absolutely not a soul.
So then this was a step out on faith then.
When I tell you faith, God, he had me. I jumped out with blindfolds, no safety net, not knowing a soul in the industry, just the internet, Google, and chances, and just chances to share what I did and what I want, what I loved. And here I am,
So 2 things I'm hearing out of your story. You're a jumper and you pivoted. Now, a lot of people are afraid because, like you, my father was like, get a good government job and be satisfied with that. No, I wanted to do law. I did not want to have a good government job. And so I pivoted at a younger age, but now you've had a first career. You see the opportunities. A seed has been planted by a student. Sometimes it's amazing where inspiration comes from. And that's why you don't look at anybody in any way, because it could come from any source. But what gave you the strength? Yeah, you jumped out, you had the faith, and we have faith. Faith without works is dead. And there are a lot of naysayers in our ears when we're about to pivot and when we're about to jump. What gave you the fortitude to keep going despite the naysayers in your ear?
I think it was the passion. I think it was the passion of creating a cosmetic line that, you know, that is for everyone, but specifically for women of color.
Yeah.
Where we, you know, you know, a red isn't just a red. A
Yeah.
red for us has to be a bright red. You
Yeah.
know, an orange for us needs to be a bright orange. A pink for us needs to be a bright pink in order for it to pop on our complexion. And if it's made the right way, with
Yeah.
the right ingredients, but yet with the right colors that give us this thing that we're present, I think that pushed me into a space that was not, and still is not, occupied by a lot of brands. And
Oh,
since I've launched the brand, there have been many more that have come to surface. And but it was the passion. It was, you know, the emails and the text messages and the inbox messages,
yeah.
you know, from people, from customers from that I don't even know, who say, you know, I'm so proud of you, and you gave me, you know, an idea to, you know, have another stream of income, to
Right.
pivot, to follow my dreams. And so I think that's what keeps me going. It's been tough, but it's been more rewarding
Right.
than the challenging times. And every business has challenging times. And I try to take the lead from my customers. Never would have thought that having 12 bottles of nail polish would have led to lipstick, would have led
Right.
to eyeshadow, would have led to now, you know, hand
And
sanitizer.
sanitizers.
Yes, yes. I
Yeah.
mean,
And sold out.
yes, yeah. And my customers, Cheryl, it's my customers, I have to say, my customers, they believe in me more so than I believe in myself. And that's such a good feeling for
That's a
them to
blessing.
see me, you know, go into different spaces. And they're basically just pushing me out of the nest. When I jump into a nest, they push me out into another nest.
Yeah, they're reminding you that you're an eagle. You don't stay in
Yeah.
a nest. You're not with chickens. You're not with pigeons. You're an eagle. You need to fly, and you need
Yes.
to create all of these things. So, what would you say would have been your lowest point, whether it's a personal experience, a business experience, and how did you overcome it? Because I find that no matter where we're located, whether it's in the United States, the Caribbean, Africa, wherever we are, there are so many things that make us alike than different. That if somebody was to hear the story, and maybe this is just for one person to hear that story and to make a difference in their life, what would have been your lowest point? How did you overcome it? And what is the lesson that you would have learned from that experience?
Well, there are several, and we kind of have those several low points in different spaces.
Right.
And for me, um, you know, moving from Alabama to New Jersey was such a culture shock.
Right.
I had no friends. The kids had no friends. We
Right.
had no relatives. It was like we were on an island by ourselves.
Right.
And I remember, you know, like, what did I just do? What happened? Well, I mean, why am I even here? You know, because I left a space where my support system was so tight
Right.
as a mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't want for anything. And so moving here made me grow up as a woman, because I no longer had a crutch and I had to figure things out.
It
I had to
stretched you.
Yes, yes. I had to figure out how to drive in the snow. I
Right.
had to, you know, learn how to shovel snow,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I had to learn time management. You know, although we're 2 miles from the city
Mm-hmm.
by car, sometimes that 2 miles can end up being an hour drive.
New York
So
traffic.
yes, yes, because of traffic. And
Right.
so, you know, all of those things made me that low point in moving from where everybody knows each other to everybody don't even care to know each other. It was a big jump for me, and it made me grow up as a woman. I was so more worried about my girls acclimating to such a big area, you
Yeah.
know.
Mm-hmm.
But what they did, they figured it out before I figured it out. It was like,
Right.
Mom, okay, you over there in that space worrying and you know, calling about grandma and you don't have any help. We're
Right.
over here, we're making friends, you know, from all different backgrounds, from Africa, from the Caribbean, from you know, DR, and you know, we're gonna figure it out. You stay over there, but we're over here.
We're
And
flying.
so,
Yes, the resilience of children.
they are, and my oldest, my older daughter at the time, we were here for maybe 6 months, and she won homecoming attendant. That was my turning point.
Yeah.
I was like, Annie, how do you win some? That's based on popularity. You've only been with these kids for less than 6 months, and these kids been with each other since kindergarten. How
Yeah.
do you come in and win such, you know, such a big title
Yeah.
amongst girls? And I said to myself, oh, they're moving on.
Yeah.
So I got to get myself together and move on too.
Join the party.
Yeah, so my girls, they taught me a lot. They taught me how to adjust, how to acclimate, how to make, you know, something out of nothing,
Right.
and continue to live the, you know, my best life. And so, you know, and I did. I figured it out. You know, I leaned on a few people and didn't mind asking for help, and so we made it. And now the oldest one went to FIT. Now she's in Atlanta, and my baby girl is a student at LSU. So they figured it out. They
Yeah.
did. I'm proud of them, and I'm really proud of myself too.
Right.
'Cause I was a country Southern belle, you know, and now I'm a city girl with a Southern flair. So,
Yeah.
or a Southern girl with the city flair, as I should say. But here we are, you know, 14 plus years later, and
The
we
city
are,
mouse survived the trip into this country mouse survived the trip into the becoming the city mouse.
yes,
And no one would
absolutely.
know that you're not, from there now.
Yeah,
You
no,
love there.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And that's what it's all about, I suppose, is the evolution of self, and to know that through every stage of life, things are changing. You can't sit down and cry about it. You have to dust yourself off, because
Right.
I think a moment becomes more miserable, or the misery lasts a little longer when we
Mhm.
stop and, just begin to feel sorry for ourselves, a pity party where the invitation is only one. So
Right.
for someone who's had to make that move, what would be your encouragement to them? They have gone to something now that's totally different. And I mean, I think as we look at 2020 has been a year where it's saying that anything can happen at any time with any severity, and you can't be prepared for what is going to be thrown at you. So, what is the message now to us as women around the world, as people around the world? How do we now make ourselves, I suppose, flexible enough to deal with any issue that may be thrown at us? Because this is a crazy time. I mean, it's being called the time of Jumanji, and that we're reaching different levels, and we expect dinosaurs to now roam the country and the world, because it's just a crazy time.
Yes. Yes.
So how do we now move forward in this time? Because I don't think any one of us have lived through a period like this. This is just uncharted territory. I
Right.
mean, if someone was to write this sort of, oh, it's a good movie script, but we're throwing it in the garbage because it's so unbelievable, but we're living it. So what's your take on it? What's your advice? What are your words here of encouragement to keep going? Because a lot of people are depressed. We've been shut down since March 19th. Businesses are just opening. Some persons have not had salaries in 2 months. They don't have a job. The hotels have closed. We're looking at reopening. But in this moment, before the sun shines again, how do you bridge them from this state of darkness to, listen, there's light just ahead, although we're in a very long tunnel?
I think what we fail to realize, because we never had to realize, is that we're more flexible than we thought.
Agreed.
And, having that concrete schedule for many, many years and being able to predict the unexpected sometimes
Yeah.
has been easy. And I think now, we have to go back to depending on our neighbors. When I was growing up, you could go to your neighbor for a cup of sugar or for 2 eggs until, then you paid it back when you got yours, so depending on your neighbors and getting to know your neighbors, I think we lost that. Now I know at least 7 people plus on my block that I didn't know.
Right.
And those that I knew, I know now a little bit more about them.
Right.
And being flexible, to me, is the new norm, because we don't know now, and that's okay to not know. It's
Right.
okay to not know what we don't know.
Yeah.
But I think now, this pandemic, along with what's going on with, the death of George Floyd,
Yeah.
we have to now really save, if we can, for a rainy day.
Yeah.
And all the things that we want, we don't need.
It's true.
Go after the things that you need and put the things that you want on the back burner. And not to say that not, doing things that you want is bad, because it's not. That's why we work,
Right. Yeah.
that's why we save. But I think more so now is we got to spend more family time together, because I asked my son, I said, what have you noticed about being locked down for 80 days? And
Yeah.
he said, I said, name something good out of it. He said, being able to spend time with my parents.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. I was telling my husband,
Wow.
oh my God, we've been bad parents. We've been working, and, we haven't been spending time with him. And so now when things get back to what we know as the norm,
Yeah.
we have decided to make sure that we sit down as a family
Yeah.
and eat together, even if it's somewhere from a fast food restaurant that we eat for dinner. We're going to still sit down and eat together and ask each other, how did your day go?
Yeah.
The hustle and bustle of, my husband getting in from work,
Right.
late from the city, and my son is, plays basketball. And I said, we got to do something together every day.
Yeah.
Even if it's just to watch a TV show or eat together, or just take 10 or 15 minutes out, no TV, no radio, no distractions, and just ask each other, how was your day?
So this is
How
really
was your
taking
day?
us back to basics, and not just to ask how is your day, but to wait for the response. A
Yes.
lot of the times it's like, oh, hey, how are you? And we're not
Uh-huh.
even waiting for an answer. It's just, oh, it's just out of courtesy that I'm really
Right.
saying this to you. Don't answer because I've had a bad day too. So I
Yes.
don't know what
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah. Right.
And we also realize with our kids is that they need so much more of us rather than the things that we can provide for them.
Right.
And that's all we had growing up. I mean, I come from a family, my parents had 16 children. There
Oh,
was
wow.
no television back then. Uh, there are 10 of us that remain. And, so we didn't have the creature comforts. You had the hand-me-downs. You had where the meal was the meal. If you didn't eat it, then that was, you went to bed hungry. I remember for us, Kentucky on a Sunday every now and then was a treat because my mother made 3 meals a day. She was a housewife. And so, when we went home, the meals were there. But there was a sense of family. There was a sense of safety, I think, because a lot of our kids are going home as latchkey kids where they're alone. They're building their own sense of what this world is like, what the values of the world is like, because we are so busy, we're caught up. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with ambition. But I think what this year is saying, and it's so funny, that this year, or ironic, it's 2020, which is like a balance on each side. Each number is the same. So you could almost see a scale. And it's almost as if it's calling us back to a sense of balance. So now, as we go into the new normal, although I don't particularly like the phrase, because if it's new, then it's not normal.
Right.
But what do you see then as your balance? What would be the soothing part for you that keeps it all together? We know that, we're not in a utopia where everything will always be balanced. But how do you seek to maintain your balance moving forward?
In science, we have this phrase that self-preservation is the first law of nature. And what I've learned is that paying attention to who I am, what I like, and not giving those things up for someone else keeps me in balance, not only for myself,
Yeah.
but for my family and for my friends.
Right.
And what I mean by that is it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, no, I can't do that right now.
Or just to say no. No is a complete sentence.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say no so you can, go take a bubble bath. It's okay to say no so you can condition your hair. It's okay to say no so you can meditate. It's okay to say no so you can even just walk around the block.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, I rediscovered and discovered some things about who I am, as a woman, as a wife, as a mom, even as a Black woman, things that I didn't even know that I liked to do and that I really didn't like to do, because I never had time in the past to figure it out or to even notice.
Right.
I now like to cook. I never liked cooking, because it was always getting in from work, rush, 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 rush. Got to do this, got to do this.
No enjoyment.
Yeah. And I, have discovered new dishes. And another thing that I enjoyed doing was sitting here just polishing my nails one day.
Right.
And I turned off the TV, turned off the radio, and I was here. The two guys were gone. And I actually just sat here and did nothing, like with my hands down.
Wow.
So, and it was so soothing. And so I did a Zoom self manicure. And you would not believe the number of women who thanked me because they never sat down at home that long to pamper themselves. And
guilty.
Again, yeah, I'm telling you, it was so soothing, and it was, great to hear from other women about what they were doing, new things that they discovered about themselves. And that goes back to what I just said. Self-preservation is the first law of nature, because when you don't take care of you, then you can't take care of anyone else.
Yeah. You're so right. And then as we reach out to other women, other people, I know that, we talk about self-care, but it's amazing how much the village has grown in this quiet time and how you're connecting now with people that really matter. And, who almost, it's as if we had to reset ourselves, because I know at the beginning of 2020, one of the things I kept hearing was self-care. And I usually get a theme or a scripture or a phrase that, resonates with me to say, this is the direction I'm going in, because it's just a nonstop process, especially for women. We give so much of ourselves to our families, to our jobs, to our children, to whatever, that we don't have the time to slow down and say, okay, what about me? And now some people may say, oh, that's being selfish. I don't see it as selfish, because, on the plane, it says you must adorn the mask first.
Right.
And then assist anybody in your area.
That's right.
So, I am encouraged, even though in the midst of all the chaos, I think it's a rearrangement. And if you go back to Genesis, it says, God looked and there was darkness upon the face of the earth, and then he spoke. And so I think it's time for us to raise our voices and speak, because we are in the image of the Creator with the same creative spirit.
Right.
So I really want to close, and it's been, we're almost on half an hour. Could you believe that? That's so quickly, it was just, I'm so happy to reconnect with you in this way. But what would be the single nugget? Because when I look at SHOO Cosmetics, and, there are so many companies in this space, but yet I'm encouraged by an African proverb that says, if size really mattered, the elephant would be the king of the jungle. And so it isn't where you begin or where you are, it's, where you're ending up. So what is your nugget? What is the takeaway, having met Shawanda, having explored now another village, because this will go to my village, this will go to your village. We will then get to meet other sisters in this whole diaspora. What would be the clear message that you would want to send out to all of them?
I mentioned a little bit of it before, and I truly believe that when you tell a girl whatever it is,
Yeah.
she's able to empower herself.
Right.
When you show a girl, she's able to empower her community. But when you teach a girl, she's able to empower her country.
Wow.
And that's in every aspect of life.
Yes.
Whether in being in the classroom, be it if she's your daughter, be it if she's your niece, in the church, if you're taking her under your wing, on the job front.
Right.
We have to step back into empowering our young girls and let her know that she is bigger than she thinks.
Right.
And sometimes, if not all the time, we have to tell we have to believe in them.
Yes.
More so than they believe in themselves.
Yes.
And what that allows us to do is that allows them to stand on our shoulders.
Yes.
So they can see beyond not only their horizon,
yeah,
but they can see beyond your horizon as well.
Yes.
So when they do jump, they'll remember you so they can bring you too, because we're all connected.
Yes.
We're all connected,
Yes.
you know, some way, somehow. We're all connected.
Definitely.
And if we can do that as a group, I promise you, you'll see more people like us, more women like us on the forefronts as leaders, and not just as leaders, but leaders who have the power to influence. Because it's one thing to be brought to the table and be silent, but there's another thing when you are brought to the table to be voiceful, to share your expertise, to share your leadership, to be able to speak. So that's what I want to leave with girls, empowering them to be better than what they could ever imagine.
And that's a great spot to jump off on, and to, you know, to say to the seed, the ones behind us, we're here, we're reaching back, we're ready, we're willing, and we're able to do that for you, because in standing on our shoulders, it causes us to remember that we too stand on other person's shoulders. And so we're all a chain, a link, and we have to connect in that fashion. So with that said, I really want to thank you for joining me on Mastering Miserable Moments, and just to remind everyone that we're just all a part of a larger family, and we are more alike than we are different. And I really treasure the day that we met, because we met as a friend of my sister. And today we have become sisters in our own right, in our own way. Yes. And I think the best is yet to come. I believe that your company will excel, it will grow. And if I have anything to do with it, I will be your greatest supporter in this region to make sure that your company grows, because at the end of the day, we know that you have the vision and the heart to say, it's not about me, I'm doing this to be able to facilitate the empowerment of young women straight across the diaspora. And, you know, our miserable moment was that we should have been in Africa this week. All of that changed because of COVID-19. But hey, delay is not denial. We will get that fascinator and all, and we will have a wonderful time. So thank you so much, Shawanda. It has been a pleasure. Please give my love to your family, to your two guys, and we will definitely talk later, because this is the beginning of something that I believe will have a great impact, not only in our country, not only in your country, but around the world. And know that we as a country, we as a people, we're praying for you in the United States, and we will master this miserable moment together. So good night, love you, And
Love you
talk to
too.
you
Thank you for
soon.
having me.
Okay,
Thank you so
bye.
much for having me. Bye bye.
Bye.